Welcome to the podcast that is designed to fuel your success in selling technology solutions. I'm your host, Josh Lopresto, SVP of Sales Engineering at Telarus, and this is Next Level Biz Tech. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm your host, Josh Lopresto, SVP of Sales Engineering at Telarus, and this is the Next Level Biz Tech podcast. Today, I'm joined with the wonderful Sam Nelson, leader of the Contact Center Practice at Telarus. Sam, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
In studio. So the title of this track is Interactions and Contact Center and really what the future of that looks like. So we're going to go through some good stuff today. But before we jump into that journey, what your role is, the experience, all this good stuff, how did you get here? Has this been a linear path for you? Did you used to make Happy Meals, sell cars? How did you get here?
Yeah, when I was 3 years old, my first words were, I want to sell contact center. Absolutely. No, I'm kidding. Well, when I was younger, I really wanted to get into sports. And until I realized that you actually have to be tall to have an advantage playing tennis. So when I realized that my path to Wimbledon was not going to happen, I actually got into sports medicine. That's where I started. Yeah, and then I sat through about 30 minutes of biology and immediately knew that was not for me. So I switched it to business. I actually started my job in retail banking. And that's where I got like the first taste of anything having to do with customers. I loved building relationships. People trusted me with their money. It was a great experience. And so it eventually led to finding a sales job in technology, in disruptive technology. And that's how I made it here.
The important thing here to share is that you and I share the fact that we're never going to bump into any ceiling fans. So
Absolutely.
I'm with you on the heights chain as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk, there's been an evolution. It's contact center, it's call center, it's all these good things. We're talking about CX, it's about the experience, but talk to me about, the title of this is Interactions, but bring this back to center, right? Where are we now? What does this technology solve, and what is it encompassing here?
Well, what's interesting is the pandemic did a lot of things, including the way that we as consumers like to do business with companies, right? We now expect things to show up on our doorstep, not even tomorrow or 2 days from now, but the same day, right? And we're even willing to pay more for better experiences and just for the least path of least resistance, I should say, right? So the technology leading up to that has changed quite a bit. With the way people have set up their roadmaps now from a supplier standpoint, it's leading more toward giving people different options depending on how they prefer to interact. Right? Because, like I said, our consumer expectations are so high and we want to reach out to companies the way that we prefer to do so, right? We don't always want to pick up the phone and call somebody. We want to text, right? We want to send an email if we don't have time, right? There's so many different ways. And so what you're seeing now is a shift from, hey, here's my physical doorstep to more of a digital doorstep, right? And so to your point, we're making more progress in the digital interactions realm. So,
we joke about this, but when my kids want to use their chore money to buy something online, they get distraught when they realize it's going to be 3 days before it gets here, right? That's crazy to them to think that it takes that long. And they're like, wait a minute, I thought we could get this stuff by 4 a.m. the next day. We joke about this because they don't appreciate, they didn't go through what we had to go through to wait weeks to get these things.
Right, snail mail.
But that's the reality though. Like if partners are listening to this, I think that's the reality you've got to think of for the business, right? That's where the bar is being set. It's the Chick-fil-A's, it's the Amazons of what that experience is, and they've got to be thinking about, right? How is their business right now, their prospect that they're working with? Are they at that bar, or are they far behind that bar?
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. And when you think about what the pandemic did as well, is it pivoted our attention from in-person experience to digital experiences, right? And when a lot of companies thought, oh, I have the leg up in, think of like a Nordstrom, right? When you walk in, it's like walking into Disneyland. Everyone caters to you. But what happened was the pandemic, and all of a sudden nobody could leave their homes for the most part, right? And so now you have companies competing on a very sort of a level set playing field, giving other companies more opportunity to compete regardless of, brand name or what have you. Because if we can get something today or within the hour, we'll probably do that.
Mm-hmm. So partners have choices. I think you do a phenomenal job leading out the CX practice, but tell everybody what is Telarus doing? What are you doing that's different to help them understand this, right? What's their approach? What's your approach?
Yeah, there's a lot of different components that go into this, right? An approach is definitely not linear. It's definitely multifaceted in that, one, we have to make sure that partners have access to emerging technology, right? And just because something's not on the Magic Quadrant doesn't mean that it's not good, right? A lot of these disruptive technologies are changing the way that companies are doing business and changing the way that they're thinking of growing in the future. And so, emerging technologies and making those available for partners is really key. And it's really, a big responsibility with all the folks involved in this practice. But in addition to that, we need to make sure that we're keeping our partners up to speed on sort of what the latest trends are, what's happening when. I'm telling you, if you go into the AI space, I mean, we can go into the depths of AI to the point at which, we can have you, sitting on the floor, knees to chest, rocking back and forth. Right? It really is the case. But it's just really important to make sure that we keep our partner community really informed of what's most important right now. And that's a real challenge because something new is coming out every single day.
No, it's true. And we have to pay attention to, is it the next greatest thing that
Right.
people need to revolutionize their business, or is this just some really good marketing?
Exactly. And it's our job to make sure that they've also got the model in place that best supports our partner community, right? Because of course, great partner experiences ultimately lead to really great customer experiences. And we have to make sure that they all are treated with a priority at that level.
So if I'm a partner, let's say I'm a partner that's tuning into this, maybe I've sold cloud, I've sold network, SD-WAN, whatever, something different, and this is new for them. What are you going to advise a partner to do to create a practice around this technology?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first thing to do is embrace this concept of getting comfortable with being really uncomfortable. And that's something that, regardless of practice that you're involved in, if you're looking to get into something new, you have to get really uncomfortable. And that first step is actually 50% of the way there. And I've been in that situation. And so, when you think of, I need to build a contact center or even a CX practice, you have to start somewhere. Don't try to boil the ocean, as they say, right? Or if you think of like a sand dune, focus on a grain of that sand, right? And what you can focus on and what you're really going to go after, pick maybe a few, folks you want to go into the race with and go from there. But more importantly, if you don't know where to start, which is typically where a lot of partners are right now, come to us and we will help you start where you're at today. I think that's the biggest challenge in trying to educate an entire partner community on a new practice is that they really just don't know where to start because there are so many things you can start with. I have people who come to me saying, Sam, let's talk AI, let's talk workforce management, employee gamification experience, right? And they really don't know where to start. No, let's get back to the basics. And if you know that, great. Maybe we talk about an ancillary product like AI or what have you, right? So come to us, we can help you. And just to add in, a big differentiation for us is we've got by far the biggest technical team out there, right? I mean, we've got, solution architects, we've got sales engineers. One of our guys literally wrote code for an existing product out there, right? We've got the tools that you guys need. So don't be afraid, and we'll help you get started.
Love it. We got to give J-Lo some love for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about trends. You're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of different trends in deals, and we always talk about this, right? What's next? What's this? How does that going to factor in? Curious from your perspective, trends that you're seeing into deals. Is it these, the UC world and the contact center, the CX world converging? What are you seeing trend-wise that matter?
Yeah. Let me paint the picture because a few years ago, pre-pandemic, I would say that unified communications and contact center were treated pretty separately, right? And so what we're seeing now is that UC and CC, or contact center, are blending together because what we're witnessing now is that companies are realizing their internal employees all, for the most part, play a CX-related role. Right? And it doesn't matter if they're communicating with the customer directly, but if the end result ends up in front of a customer, even if it's a billing inquiry or something like that, that person's in a customer experience related role. And so that's why you're seeing these two coming together. The conversation of, hey, is UC just for internal employees? Is CC just for a contact center? That's absolutely not the case. And so, many suppliers out there will kind of muddy the waters, but there's a reason for that. It's because there's so much gray area in that entire environment. So that's why, even more importantly, to lean in on us to kind of help figure out what goes where.
Let's dive into that one a little bit. Let's talk about, I like to hear what you think partners that are out there that are successful, that have cracked into this. You brought up a couple of things, right? You brought up gamification, you brought up workforce management, we're talking AI, RPA, all these things. Mm-hmm. What is the right, or is there a right recipe to understand some of those in trends? Are we seeing people more displace the old seats and put in new seats? Are we seeing more people have success crack in with some of the ancillaries? What do you recommend there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And there are really two types of customers out there when you look at the CX world. One is you have those customers who are literally looking to rip and replace what they have. They're like, this stuff is old. We want something new. Help us with this entire project. However, those customers are very rare, right? Especially post-pandemic. It's hard to keep even staff, right? So they're looking for ways to actually optimize what they currently have. So that's the second kind of customer where, you have to be able to have the discussion around, hey, you want to keep what you have and that's great, but let's talk about how you can optimize some of the, processes that you have going on in that unit. And so that's why then you have the ancillary products that will sit on top of whatever they're using to help optimize what they have and make the most of what they have currently.
So, do you find that, we were talking about modernization this morning with Kobe, we were talking about the cloud practice. Do you find that the CX side of the house, those customers, do they know where they need to go from a modernization perspective? Do they have their head wrapped around it and they're just coming to us going, do we have somebody that can do a workforce management tool? Like what percentage of that or what portion of that do you feel that they know what they want versus we have to help them transform?
Well, let's define a customer who knows what they want, right? We've got a lot of clients who say, yeah, I want this. But I would say 9 times out of 10, they actually need something else. And I'm sure our partner community can definitely relate to that. And it's even worse, I would say, in the CX realm, right? When a customer says, I get this one almost daily, several times daily, where a customer says, hey, I want AI. It's like, okay, well, let's start, and this is what I tell partners, start with the business outcome. What are you looking to achieve? And let's work backwards from there. Because oftentimes, a lot of customers are confusing automation with artificial intelligence. Things that don't necessarily require a brain, like if-then, that's totally different than like a brain having to figure out what the intent is of a customer calling in.
Yeah. So, a good example, right? I need my agents more intelligent. Okay, I need AI. Well, let's talk about what you need. Maybe you need some recording over the top to listen for that, listen for tone, listen for sentiment, and make a recommendation. Make a not sure agent advised on what to do. And I think we see that a lot as well, right? Right.
Well, and when people talk about, hey, I need to train my agents to be better. Okay, well, let's talk about what mechanisms you have in place for that. Do you have coaches? What does the follow-up look like? Sometimes it's not even technology related, right? Sometimes it's just a simple workflow process that needs to be filled. Now, technology can certainly help with that, right? But sometimes it's literally just a business practice that we have to talk to them about, and then technology can augment that.
Fair. All right, let's get into the weeds on an example. I love to go into this because, like you mentioned, sometimes what we get pulled into and say, I need this thing, or the customer says they need this thing, it doesn't always end up that way. Either because the business outcome is different or just it didn't do what they thought it needed to do. So walk me through maybe an example that you've been pulled into where it's, hey, I need this thing. And then you ultimately found out, well, they actually needed this, and we sold or we implemented or we fixed the problem, and this was what we put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a loaded one because there are so many different ways we could approach this. I've definitely had experiences like that where we've helped sell the core, but we've also helped sell an ancillary. So let me go into an example of an ancillary solution because that's where the majority of customers are today. I'll use the basic example of, hey, we need artificial intelligence, and I want to go with these chatbots. Okay, so I actually went with the partners to the customer, and they said, yeah, we want these chatbots, and here's why. Come to find out that they actually wanted self-service, but it's because their agents weren't up to par, and they wanted like kind of a nesting period to be able to train them up, ease off the chatbot, but then also filter different interactions. And they thought maybe chatbot was going to be the ultimate solution, right? And granted, it was part of the solution, but when we went in, we kind of debunked the different players in the AI space and where they play, looking beyond just the conversational AI quadrant, right? Now, of course, I went in, but I also brought Jason Lowe in as well with the partner, and we were able to talk to it from a business process standpoint, but also from a technical standpoint. Because a lot of these guys are really hesitant to put new technology into a stack if it's going to disrupt everything else, right? And so we had that technical coverage available too. So at the end of the day, they were actually able to completely change who they were evaluating, but they were also able to get a list of 10 potentials to about 2. And so the decision between those 2 is technically still pending, but at least we got them to that point.
Good point. Yeah, and I have to underscore what you mentioned earlier. I think we have the deepest team out there in whether we're giving you new things, new ideas that you didn't have before and you're ready to go rock with those on your own, great. Or if we're giving things that you're getting excited and equally scared about, great. We're here to support you in both of that. We've got the team that comes in side by side to help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's been part of the key success.
For sure.
All right. Before we get to the end, second to last here, I want to look in the future, right? So get out your crystal ball. My kids now hit me with the magic 8 ball. Somehow that decides everything in our lives.
The future.
Yeah. Walk me through where are we going? I mean, it feels like we're at this time where all this money poured into the tech sector in the last 5+ years, and so many crazy technologies have come out. And I know you're gonna talk about some of them, but really, where does let's just bring it back down to the next couple years. What are we focusing on? What are we going to see next? What is the future of this that's maybe starting to bleed in right now?
Sure. In the CX world, it is very clear that companies are using CX, or customer experience, as a basis of differentiation. That much is absolutely clear. And so as a result, what we're going to see over the next, even within the next, I would say, 9 to 18 months or so, is that you're going to see a massive acceleration in the world of automation as well as artificial intelligence. And when I talk about automation, I'm talking more so around RPA, or robotic process automation, where a robot can literally complete specific tasks for an agent, reducing the number of times that they have to go into different systems and what have you, right? For quicker first call resolution. But automation, artificial intelligence for sure. To give you a sneak peek of that, I actually spoke to someone, a supplier, who actually said, we have the ability to change someone's accent in real time while they're speaking to a customer. Whoa. Right? Because we love talking to locals, and you can tell, like, when someone's not from around here, like me, where I'm like, snow, rain, I can't do it. I'm not from here. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so, it's pretty amazing what technology is. So really, at the end of the day, it's automation, it's artificial intelligence, and on top of that, it's how to keep employees. How to keep them, because being an agent is really, really difficult. Working in a contact center is really difficult. I've done it in the past, so I can tell from experience.
Yes, dial-up MSN tech support. Anything that would have made my life easier, I would have been all in.
There you go.
All right, let's maybe wrap this up with a little bit of role play.
Okay.
I want to step back. I want to be the customer. Maybe I'll be the chief business officer. I'll be the VP of contact center, whatever. And I want you to come in and maybe just be that right hand of the partner, the Telarus resource, the architect, whatever, the advanced solutions, all of the above. And just walk me through what a partner might experience in just the first couple minutes of this conversation of how we come in and help, kind of what we do. So, all right, we switch into character.
Okay, can you be something relevant, like a chief marketing officer or something?
All right.
I say that because they have the biggest budget, by the way.
I'm Bob, the chief marketing officer. Thanks for coming to the meeting.
No, thank you, Bob.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. Wait, I said thank you. Oh, man. Okay, I'm nervous.
Wait,
no.
I already made him nervous. We just started.
This is great. Listen, I've been told you can come in and help us. We've got some issues going on in our contact center. We've got some legacy technology, but I mean, it's working right now. So I've been told that you're on the latest and greatest trends of technology. I don't exactly know where we need to go with this, but the problem that we have is that we're just not getting real-time decisions. We're reviewing some of the data, some of the analytics, and we're not able to really coach our people and improve them at all. So what do where do we start in this conversation? What do you recommend? What can we do from here?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, first, Bob, thanks for taking this meeting. I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate you sharing all that detail. Typically, we have clients who have an idea of where they want to go, but it sounds like you actually have experience with what some of the issues are going on in your contact center, which is impressive. Now, to that point, before we dive into real-time discussion and kind of getting into the weeds there, talk to me about your top initiatives for the year when it comes to customer experience or whatever you have the contact center doing.
Yeah, so part of it is we want to keep a high NPS score. I think our brand is everything. Our responsiveness is everything. Word travels fast. I mean, yes, we're going through some of these kind of cost-cutting measures with everything that's going on economy-wise. So we want to make sure that our agents are efficient, but we also want to retain those agents too. We're having problems with, high turnover, all of those things. So I want to make sure that our product gets the support that it needs. We can keep the support and the sales and the brand up, but is there a way that we can do that through technology right now? Because I feel like some of the technology we have is outdated, but I don't really know how technology is going to solve that for us. Or are we going to have to do a whole lift and shift, or is there just a piece of this we can augment?
Yeah, and that's a great question. It's really going to depend on sort of the outcomes you're looking for, right? And when you talk about, needing to add technology and what you're looking to accomplish, but you've got things like high turnover, you need real-time assistance, it sounds like, right? These are all capabilities that several of our customers are looking for today, because at the end of the day, based on the fact that you're head of marketing, what a lot of other kind of marketing folks I've spoken to are really interested in things like, hey, how can I, make sure that my brand and my CX is literally our differentiator, right? How are you leveraging customer experience as a competitive advantage? And things like real time and all these other capabilities will definitely contribute to that. And there are options. It doesn't have to be a lift or shift. It doesn't have to be a simple bolt on to your technology that you have today. But at the end of the day, it's a really big project that technology can absolutely help solve for. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's where we cut it. And that's the aha moment. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a glimpse into how we have some of these conversations. And that's really where we're here to help. So appreciate you playing along with the role play stuff there. Awesome.
No, 100%. And I'm going to add, Josh, that, guys, you got to know when to pivot, right? Everybody knows that pivot, right? Know when to pivot because you don't want to go too into the weeds. So a transition sentence that I typically put out there is, hey, this sounds like a really big initiative and it's going to require way more time for us to really go through what you need. Why don't we go ahead and put something on the books for next week on this day, this time, and let's have a bigger meeting with a broader team and we can go into more detail.
Yeah, great point. I mean, and throw out that you've got folks that have contributed to contact center code. You've got folks that have sold contact center and ancillary products, engineered, all of the above. So yeah, tout that. Great point, right? Know when to say, hey, are you okay? Put the question back on them. Are you okay if I bring them into this conversation to help you? They're part of my team.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Fun stuff. All right, Sam, that wraps us up. I appreciate you coming in, bearing in with our fresh snowflakes this year.
Yes,
and
delightful surprise.
to do this with us. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, that wraps us up for this week. I am your host, Josh Lopresto, SVP of Sales Engineering, and this is the Next Level Biz Tech Podcast. Till next time.
Next Level Biz Tech has been a production of Telarus Studio 19. Please visit Telarus.com for more information.